Today, we have a very special guest on the Bricks to Riches podcast. We have Az Muhammad Saul, who's a Chief Operating Officer of Paradigm Sports. Az, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Nabil. Pleasure to be on.
I want to know your transition. How do you transition from that, becoming to a sports advisor, management company? How did all that happen?
It's taken many different routes, to be honest. I mean, if you go back to the beginning of my career, even back to education, I did environmental science and geology, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the plan at that point was to start drawing maps. I realized that maps don't necessarily talk back to you. So
Yeah.
I fell into finance by accident, brother. Different story, but I fell into it completely by accident. Ended up being a wealth manager at Rothschilds at the beginning of my career, then went into financial markets. Did over 20 years, Bloomberg, Thomson Reuters, IHS Markit, London, New York, Singapore, Dubai. Sports was always something I was always keen on, but moreover from the business side, right? As an enthusiast, I've always played and watched sports. Growing up in the UK, it was football. And then boxing became really big in the 80s and 90s. It was a similar generation, you and I. So boxing was huge back then, right? The rise of the Mike Tysons, the Lennox Lewises, Prince Nassim, so on and so forth. So those were really, really amazing years following the sport and even boxing myself at a very young age. And then I moved to Singapore. And that's where I started to really travel around the region with my corporate career. And what was fascinating to me is that every country I went to, Cambodia, China, Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, Thailand, you're 1 degree of separation away from someone practicing a martial art. And then I started to get more and more interested in not only the sporting aspect of it, but it's a cultural phenomenon now. It's like religion to them, right? There's terms used like agent and manager.
Yeah.
When Audi started this thing off 17 years ago, they were agents, right? And the agency business to me is dated. You know, you said something really important there. Our client success is our success, not the other way around, right? So you won't catch us pushing social media, being front of cage at every event. You know, we're not the stars here. You know, we're the supporting act to build and elevate our stars to reach their maximum career potential, but their economic potential as well. So agency business, anyone can do it. This sport isn't licensed like football, where you have, you know, regulatory bodies like UEFA or FIFA, which governs license. Anybody can be a manager. Can, you know, anybody else can walk out of this gym right now and say, look, I've met this kid in the gym, I'm managing him now. That's how easy it is to become an agent, right? But what does an agent actually do? Their job in its traditional sense is to book fights, right? If you're in the pocket of a promotion or you've got a friendly voice at a promotion, you can book a fight, but whose interests are you serving? The promotions or the clients, right? So you're paid off the sacrifice a client's making to put their bodies at risk. And that's what you're getting paid from, and you're not doing anything else. The game evolved into management then, where they started to look at contract negotiations, fight purses, bonuses, pay-per-view, which is now redundant in the MMA world, sponsorships, endorsements. That's where we started to really elevate ourselves because, you know, I know for a fact, I'm a data guy by background. We do the biggest volume and value of sponsorship deals in this business, and we have done year on year for years. So we make sure our clients understand their brand, understand their IP, and are being compensated reasonably for that, right? That's what our job is. Our elevation into a representation platform was 7 years ago. And what that means is that really understanding brand equity and the value of IP. You know, why now start to take sponsorship dollars in categories that you don't need to? Why not build businesses? You know, move our clients from debt stacker society to equity stacker society through ownership. You know, and fast forward those 7 years or whatever it's been now, we've probably got 12 companies now we built with our clients where they, you know, things that they genuinely care about and are passionate about. You know, we've built really amazing businesses with them. And that protects their long-term. Year by year. You know, with every client, we have minimum 5-year road plan that we build in terms of where we're trying to take that client from a super talented fighter, but now into a brand of their own right. You know, the other sports have led the way. If you look at the oldest example, the most successful example is probably Michael Jordan in
Yes,
the NBA.
yeah.
You know, that's a blueprint to some extent, right? And, you know, the Americans are a bit more ahead of the UK in that
Yes,
sense,
yeah.
because they grew up in college with that entrepreneurial mindset. Not always successful, by the way, because there's thousands of NFL,
Yes,
NBA players that haven't made that translation. But the idea of building an entrepreneurial ecosystem.
America's a giant compared to UK.
It is, but there's an education that, you know, I think the UK lets professional athletes down in somewhat. You know, they're not just athletes. You know, you have to coach, guide, financial advice, legal advice, business advice, property advice. There's a whole area of financial literacy that I feel is only now beginning to be imparted by the leagues and associations. It's a long way to go.
Nice. And also, do you like who we've got next, the superstar Dakota Ditcheva on the podcast? You've kindly organised, so I'm grateful. But let's say if she was on the UFC card than PFL, would her profile be bigger, or would you say it would be the same?
Well,
because UFC is a huge brand, isn't it?
It's a massive brand, and you know, obviously their marketing and the way they build storylines around athletes is phenomenal. They've got a massive track record.
Because they did McGregor, they made McGregor to a huge star, didn't they?
Well, I think he made them too.
Reciprocal.
I think he made them too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a phenomenal marketing engine, and their ability to tell stories is incredible, right? But
even Dana White, when he speaks, he's a good storyteller.
He is. Yeah. I mean, but you know, PFL are getting there as well. A new leadership team coming in that really understand how to create stories for media. It's going to be important. So, you know, I'd also say that some of the talent, or most of the talent we manage, aren't defined by the quality of promotion they fight for. They have personalities outside of fighting, right? So, to your example, someone like Dakota, I feel, you know, has a persona that isn't defined just by what she's achieved in the ring. You know, she's such I feel, a standard bearer for girls of not only her age, but the future. My girls are inspired by her. You know, I've tried unsuccessfully for 16 years to get my girls to do combat sports. They spent a couple of weeks with her in Thailand, and they're doing Muay Thai now, right? But it's her ability to really normalize being a girl, being proud, confident of what you are, but also be a badass when you get into a cage. That's something bigger than fighting for promotion, right? That's how you carry yourself as a person.
And she's very humble as well, very down to earth. The whole family is.
Whole family is hugely humble, really amazing human beings.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate making time out of your busy schedule, and I wish you success in everything you do, from a spiritual journey to financial journey, a family journey. I wish you the best in everything you do. Allah bless you with more, inshallah.
Thank you, my man, and I appreciate you having me on, and I wish the same for you. You've done amazing work with Bricks to Riches.
Thank you so much.
And everything else you're involved in. Continue the journey, bro.
Thank you so much.